Gaza crisis, the ongoing struggle. It's June 2024. Remember the Israel-Hamas war? Yeah, it's still going. It's been 8 long months since Hamas launched its surprise attack and Gaza is a living hell. The initial shock has faded, replaced by a numbing sense of despair. The world watches in horror as Gaza, once a symbol of resilience, crumbles under the weight of relentless bombardment and a suffocating siege. This isn't just a war, it's a humanitarian disaster of epic proportions. Gaza, a tiny strip of land home to over 2 million people, has become an open-air prison. Imagine being trapped in a place where bombs rain down daily, where food and water are scarce, and hospitals are overflowing with the dead and dying. That's Gaza in 2024. The world is witnessing the systematic dismantling of a society, the collective punishment of an entire population. The stories emerging from Gaza are harrowing. Families huddled in the ruins of their homes, children with hollow eyes and empty stomachs, doctors forced to make impossible choices with dwindling supplies. This is a story of human suffering on a mass scale, a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of unchecked conflict. This is Gaza in 2024, a place where hope is fading with each passing day. Israel, citing security concerns and the need to eliminate Hamas, has unleashed the full might of its military on Gaza. Airstrikes, artillery shelling, and ground incursions have become a grim daily reality for the people of Gaza. The Israeli military, armed to the teeth with advanced weaponry, has turned Gaza into a testing ground for its latest technology. One of the primary targets of this offensive is Rafah, a city in southern Gaza that has become a focal point of the conflict. The Israeli military claims that Rafah is a stronghold for Hamas, used to store weapons and launch attacks. However, the reality on the ground tells a different story. The relentless bombardment of Rafah has resulted in widespread destruction and mass displacement. Residential neighborhoods have been reduced to rubble, schools and hospitals lie in ruins, and critical infrastructure has been decimated. The people of Rafah, caught in the crossfire, are paying a heavy price for a conflict they did not choose. Despite mounting international pressure to cease its offensive, the Israeli government, led by Benjamin Netanyahu, remains defiant. Netanyahu has vowed to continue the military operation in Gaza until Hamas is eliminated, rejecting calls for a ceasefire and dismissing concerns about civilian casualties. The ongoing conflict has plunged Gaza into a humanitarian crisis of unprecedented proportions. The United Nations has warned of a looming famine, with food and water supplies dwindling rapidly. Hospitals, already overwhelmed by the influx of casualties, are struggling to function with limited resources and constant power outages. The death toll continues to climb with each passing day. Thousands of Palestinians, the majority of whom are civilians, have been killed, and tens of thousands more have been injured. The indiscriminate nature of the Israeli offensive has left countless families shattered and a generation scarred by the horrors of war. The situation is particularly dire for children, who make up a significant portion of Gaza's population. Malnutrition rates are soaring, access to education has been disrupted, and the psychological trauma of living under constant threat is taking a heavy toll. The children of Gaza are the innocent victims of a conflict they did not create. The international community has pledged millions of dollars in humanitarian aid, but access to Gaza remains severely restricted. The Israeli blockade, in place for over a decade, has crippled Gaza's economy and left its population dependent on outside assistance. The ongoing conflict has only exacerbated this dire situation, pushing Gaza to the brink of collapse. In the midst of this escalating crisis, there have been numerous attempts to broker a ceasefire and secure the release of hostages held by Hamas. Qatar, Egypt, and the United States have all played a role in mediating these talks, but progress has been frustratingly slow. Hamas, seeking an end to the siege of Gaza and international recognition, has demanded a permanent ceasefire and the release of Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails. However, Israel, distrustful of Hamas and determined to cripple the group militarily, has resisted these demands. Adding to the complexity of the situation is the issue of hostages. Hamas is holding a number of Israeli civilians and soldiers captive, some of whom are feared dead. The families of these hostages have been vocal in their pleas for their loved ones' release, putting immense pressure on the Israeli government to secure their safe return. Despite the urgency of the situation, a lasting ceasefire remains elusive. The two sides appear entrenched in their positions, unwilling to make the necessary concessions to end the bloodshed. As negotiations drag on, the people of Gaza continue to suffer, their hopes for a brighter future fading with each passing day. The Israeli offensive in Rafah has triggered a mass exodus of civilians fleeing for their lives. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians have been displaced from their homes, seeking refuge in overcrowded shelters, schools, and mosques. The UN has described the situation in Rafah as catastrophic, with basic necessities in short supply and the threat of disease outbreaks looming large. The international community has condemned Israel's actions in Rafah, accusing it of violating international law and committing war crimes. The International Court of Justice has ordered Israel to halt its offensive and allow humanitarian access to Rafah, but Israel has so far ignored these calls. The United States, Israel's closest ally, has also come under scrutiny for its continued military aid to Israel. President Biden, facing mounting pressure from within his own party and the international community, has paused some arms sales to Israel, but the flow of weapons continues. The Rafah exodus is a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict and the failure of the international community to protect civilians. The images of displaced families, their belongings piled high on makeshift carts, are a powerful indictment of the world's inability to prevent such tragedies. The international community has reacted to the ongoing crisis in Gaza with a mixture of outrage, condemnation, and calls for action. The United Nations has accused both Israel and Hamas of war crimes and called for an independent investigation into the conduct of both sides during the conflict. Protests against the Israeli offensive have erupted in cities around the world, with people from all walks of life expressing their solidarity with the Palestinian people. Social media platforms have become a battleground for competing narratives, with pro-Palestinian activists accusing Israel of apartheid and ethnic cleansing, while pro-Israeli voices defend Israel's right to defend itself against terrorism. The International Criminal Court has launched an investigation into alleged war crimes committed in the occupied Palestinian territories, including the recent violence in Gaza. The ICC's chief prosecutor has stated that there is a reasonable basis to believe that both Israeli and Palestinian individuals may have committed war crimes. The Arab League has called for an emergency summit to discuss the situation in Gaza, demanding an immediate ceasefire and an end to the Israeli blockade. However, divisions within the Arab world have hampered efforts to present a united front, with some countries maintaining close ties with Israel. As the conflict enters its 9th month, the long-term consequences for Gaza are becoming increasingly clear. The physical destruction is staggering, with entire neighborhoods reduced to rubble. The psychological toll on the population, particularly children, is immeasurable. The cycle of violence has left deep scars on both sides, fueling hatred and mistrust that will take generations to heal. The conflict has also had a devastating impact on Gaza's already fragile economy. The blockade, coupled with the destruction of infrastructure, has brought economic activity to a standstill. Unemployment is rampant, poverty is widespread, and the future prospects for Gaza's youth are bleak. The international community faces a monumental task in rebuilding Gaza and addressing the underlying causes of the conflict. Billions of dollars in aid will be needed to reconstruct homes, schools, hospitals, and critical infrastructure. However, true peace and stability will remain elusive without a just and lasting solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The international community must also address the issue of accountability for alleged war crimes committed during the conflict. Failure to do so will only perpetuate a culture of impunity and make future outbreaks of violence more likely. Justice and reconciliation are essential prerequisites for lasting peace. The future of Gaza hangs in the balance. The current ceasefire, while fragile, offers a glimmer of hope that a more durable peace can be achieved. However, significant challenges remain. The underlying issues that have fueled decades of conflict, the occupation, the settlements, the status of Jerusalem, remain unresolved. The international community must seize this opportunity to push for a just and lasting solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. A two-state solution, based on the 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as the capital of a Palestinian state, remains the only viable path to peace. However, achieving this goal will require political will, compromise from both sides, and sustained international pressure. The immediate priority must be to address the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, The blockade must be lifted, allowing for the free flow of goods and people. Reconstruction efforts must be accelerated, providing much-needed jobs and restoring a sense of normalcy to the lives of Gaza's residents. The international community must also work to prevent the further escalation of the conflict. This will require addressing the root causes of the conflict, including the occupation, the settlements, and the status of Jerusalem. A just and lasting peace will remain elusive without a comprehensive approach that addresses the legitimate aspirations of both Israelis and Palestinians. The ongoing crisis in Gaza is a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict and the urgent need for peace. The international community cannot stand idly by as innocent civilians are caught in the crossfire. We must demand an end to the violence, accountability for those responsible for war crimes, and a just and lasting solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. We must also recognize that peace is not merely the absence of war, it is the presence of justice, equality, and opportunity for all. The Palestinians deserve the same rights and freedoms as people anywhere in the world. They deserve to live in dignity and security, free from fear and oppression. The time for action is now. We cannot afford to wait for another cycle of violence to erupt. We must demand that our leaders prioritize peace and diplomacy over war and destruction. We must hold them accountable for their actions and inaction. The future of Gaza, and indeed the entire region, depends on it. Let us work together to build a world where all people can live in peace and security. Let us create a future where the children of Gaza can grow up free from the threat of violence and have the opportunity to reach their full potential. Let us make peace, not war. Gap 3S. Amidst the devastation and suffering, there are glimmers of hope. Humanitarian aid organizations have been working tirelessly on the ground, providing crucial support to the people of Gaza. Despite the immense challenges, these brave individuals and groups continue to deliver food, medical supplies, and other essential aid to those in need. Gap 2S. The efforts of these organizations are nothing short of heroic. They navigate dangerous and often unpredictable conditions to reach the most vulnerable populations. Their work is a testament to the resilience and strength of the human spirit. Gap 2S. Stories of resilience and hope emerge from the rubble. Families who have lost everything find solace in the support they receive. Children, despite the trauma and hardship, show remarkable courage and determination. These stories remind us of the power of compassion and the importance of solidarity in the face of adversity. Gap 2S. However, the challenges are immense. Blockades and restrictions often hinder the flow of aid, making it difficult to meet the growing needs of the population. Aid workers face constant threats to their safety, yet they persist, driven by a deep commitment to helping those in need. Gap 2S. The international community plays a crucial role in supporting these efforts. Donations and advocacy can make a significant difference, ensuring that aid continues to reach those who need it most. It is a collective responsibility to stand with the people of Gaza and support their journey towards recovery and peace. Gap 2S. In the midst of crisis, the stories of resilience and hope serve as a powerful reminder of the human capacity for strength and compassion. They inspire us to continue working towards a better future for all, where peace and security are not just aspirations but realities. Gap 2S. Let us honor the bravery of humanitarian aid workers and the resilience of the people they serve. Let us continue to support and amplify their efforts, and let their stories remind us of the enduring power of hope and solidarity. Gap 2S. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can build a future where the people of Gaza, and indeed all people, can live in peace and dignity. The journey is long and challenging, but with collective effort and unwavering commitment, a better future is within reach. Gap 3S. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative and inspiring, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth coverage and stories of resilience from around the world.